Employers do recognise the importance of valuing their talent. We won the battle to get the notion of people are your greatest asset truly accepted and truly recognised some time ago. It's who they consider to be talent, how they value the talent, the different roles of the players in valuing talent, and all of this has changed significantly over the past few years. These are the questions that I address in strategic talent development. In strategic talent development, I include case studies of initiatives that I think are really appropriate and have blown me away in many respects. And these case studies are from some leading organisations such as The Guardian, Siemens, Burson Marsteller, Young and Rubicam, KPMG, BBC. Conventional orthodoxy over the last decade or more has been that people leave managers, not organisations. The emphasis has been on the importance of the manager. I believe that in our new world, where people are working virtually, globally, in flexible teams, often in multiple teams at the same time, that whole notion of management needs to change. It doesn't work any longer. Our processes, our approaches are all based on command and control management, linear management. I don't believe that model holds true any longer, and I don't believe that model can carry on for much longer. Very few managers now have direct line of sight over their employees, over the work that their employees do, and how they do it, and when they're doing it, and where they are when they're doing it. Not only that, of course, organisations have got much flatter, and so the spectrum of responsibility that line managers have to cover, and the spectrum of knowledge that they have to have, has got much broader than it ever was in previously. I believe very strongly that we put too much on line managers. We expect line managers to be able to set goals, give feedback on performance, be coaches, be mentors. We expect them to be legal experts. They have to know the ins and outs of disciplinary and grievance procedures and how to identify and deal with poor performance. They also have to, of course, retain the high performers. I believe that model just does not hold up any longer. And what is emerging, and what I have been working with a number of organisations on for the last few years in particular, is the notion of shared management, which is where you have set all those responsibilities that I've just mentioned, the goal setting, the feedback, the being coaches and mentors and handling all the different procedures, gets split amongst different people. So an individual will have a people manager who will be responsible for giving them advice on their career development, who will support them on their career development, who will give them feedback on performance. Someone else, in fact possibly several people, will be responsible for the business results that they achieve, yet someone else will coach them and mentor them at certain times. I believe that the role of HR is significant in all of this, because HR, with that broad perspective that HR should have across the organisation, needs to have a much better ownership of the people who are the high performers and the high potentials, and what sort of development opportunities could be open to them. HR also need to be the experts that will come in and help line managers know how to deal with the poor performers, and also know how to take some disciplinary action. Business success today depends on having an engaged workforce, and a workforce that's ready to take on new challenges, move into new roles, has the right capabilities available when they are needed. Businesses can't afford to have to wait while they're finding new people, or wondering who is going to be able to be trained up to do a new role. I've devised a 4-point framework to help businesses develop a talent and engagement strategy, but the framework is also appropriate for any single initiative that comes within that overall talent and engagement strategy. The 4 points on the framework are, first of all, future focus. Talent and engagement starts with empowering everyone in the organisation to be looking ahead, to be spotting the trends that are on the horizon. Many writers and commentators recognise the importance of having this future focus in an organisation. However, most people look at future focus and say to achieve this, it's about having people who are able to take on new skills, and that the key to this is that people have an ability to learn and also unlearn, and to learn very rapidly, and in this way they adapt to change. Now, I agree with this completely. However, I believe that there's more to a future focus, and what I set out is how to empower people to engage with the business strategy in such a way that they will be able to spot the trends on the horizon and bring new ideas into the organisation from the outside. If you spot a bandwagon on the horizon, you are too late, you have already missed it. You need to keep ahead. The second point on the framework is self-managed succession. And here you find the learning and development activities that are absolutely essential to achieving that future focus. The term I used to describe a range of activities that people can self-manage, that will suit people's own aspirations, but will do so in a way that will actually move the organisation forward. So will create succession into new roles, into different roles, into moving the organisation forward. These learning and development activities should include a range of programs that will enable you to capture data about people. We live in a technological age where it is easy, relatively easy, to collect data on people, where it's important to have data at your fingertips so that you know what skills you employ in the organisation, you truly understand the workforce that you're employing, you know who might be ready to move into which role. And that brings us to the third point on the framework, which is people data bank. And that's about finding new ways and finding ways of generating data and retaining that data and being able to use it to make better and also faster decisions. The fourth point on the framework is the shared management that I talked about earlier. And all these activities that I'm talking about should all be organised so that they help people answer what are critical questions for all individuals. Everyone in the organisation, timeless questions that everyone needs to have answered is: what's expected of me? How am I doing? What does the future hold for me? How will I be supported to get there? And how will I be rewarded? There doesn't need to be a single person answering those 5 questions. There needs to be answers given by a variety of people who will share in the management of the individual. And this requires a high level of communication amongst managers. It also requires different processes from the traditional linear command and control kind of hierarchies that we've been using up until now. There's been a massive amount of research which proves that there is a direct link between the level of employee engagement in the organisation and the profitability of the organisation. I think there's so much evidence about this, there's been so much research on this, that the evidence is quite conclusive. There's also a lot of evidence to show, well, actually, what is it that creates an engaged employee? And I capture that in 5 quick key questions that every employee needs to have answers to. And if you can answer those 5 questions, then you will raise employee engagement levels. What is expected of me? How am I doing? What does the future hold for me? How will I be supported to get there? And how will I be rewarded? Answering these 5 questions is actually the whole essence of strategic talent development.